Lord is also, yes, he's loving and caring, but at the same time, no one has an excuse or anything like that to not follow him, to not do what he tells you to do. But now we kind of get past where some of they kind of reiterate some of the offerings, talking about them again, and inheritance, talks about the inheritance laws and everything like that. So we're in chapter 29, and this is where the offerings at the Feast of the Trumpets. Does anybody have any questions or comments about any of the offerings we discussed before? Because we did talk about the daily offerings, the Sabbath, the monthly, the offerings of the Passover, and the Feast of Weeks. So we got through those, and I want to make sure I didn't miss one. Yeah, I didn't miss that one. But also, they also did a second census of Israel as well in that matter. And remember, they didn't take one of the Levites, because guess who the Levites are, or who they belong to. The Lord set them aside just for work for him. So it's all the other tribes that got the census, not the Levites, because they're doing work for the tabernacle, work for the Lord, whatever they may do. The Lord has them doing, that's what they're doing. They're focused on the Lord. All right. So we'll continue in chapter 29. It says, "And in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work. For you, it is a day of blowing the trumpets. You shall offer a burnt offering as a sweet aroma to the Lord. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 lambs in their first year without blemish. Their grain offering shall be a fine flour, mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah. For the bull, 2/10 for the ram, and 1/10 for each of the 7th gut lambs. So also 1 kid of the goats as a sin offering to make atonement for you, besides the burnt offering with its grain offering for the new moon. The regular burnt offering with its grain offering, and their drink offering according to the ordinance as a sweet aroma, an offering made by fire to the Lord." And now we go into the Day of Atonement. "So on the 10th day of the 7th month you shall have a holy convocation. You shall afflict your souls, and you shall not do any work, and you shall present a burnt offering to the Lord as a sweet aroma, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 lambs in their first year. Be sure they are without blemish. The grain offering shall be a fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah. For the bull, 2/10 for 1 ram, and 1/10 for each of the 7th lambs. Also 1 kid of the goats as a sin offering, besides the sin offering for atonement, the regular burnt offering with the grain offering, and their drink offerings." Now we're going to the Feast of Tabernacles. It says, "On the 15th day of the 7th month you shall have a holy convocation, and you shall do no customary work, and you shall keep a feast of the Lord 7 days. You shall present a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, as a sweet aroma to the Lord, 13 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 lambs in their first year. They shall be without blemish. Their grain offering shall be a fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah for each of the 13 bulls, 2/10 of an ephah for 2 rams, and 1/10 for each of the 14 lambs, as also 1 kid of the goat as a sin offering, besides the burnt offering of the burnt offering, its grain offering, and its drink offering. On the 2nd day, present 12 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs, in the first year without blemish, and their grain offering and their drink offering for the bulls, for the rams, and for the lambs by the number according to the ordinance. Also 1 kid of the goat as a sin offering, besides a regular burnt offering with its grain offering and their drink offering." So far, there's a lot being done on these days right here. So on the 3rd day, presents 11 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish, and the grain offering and the drink offering for the bulls, for the lambs by their number according to the ordinance. Also 1 kid of the goat as a sin offering, besides a regular burnt offering, grain offering, and its drink offering. On the 4th day, present 10 bulls. If you haven't noticed, they're taking 1 bull off of each day. 10 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs the first year without blemish, and their grain offering and their drink offering for the bulls, for the rams, for lambs, by their number according to the ordinance. Also 1 kid of the goat, sin offering, besides a regular burnt offering, its grain offering, and its drink offering. And on the 5th day, 9 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish, and their grain offering and their drink offering, offerings for the bulls, for the rams, for the lambs by their number according to the ordinance. Also 1 goat as a sin offering, besides a regular burnt offering, its grain offering, and its drink offering. On the 6th day, 8 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs, in their first year without blemish, and their grain offering for the bulls, for the rams, and for the lambs by the number according to the ordinance. Also 1 goat as a kid Also, one goat as a sin offering besides the regular burnt offering, its grain offering, and its drink offering. On the seventh day, present 7 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish, and their grain offering and their drink offering, for the bulls, for the rams, for the lambs, by their number according to the ordinance. Also, one goat is a sin offering besides a regular burnt offering, its grain offering, and its drink offering. On the 8th day you shall have a sacred assembly, and you shall do no customary work. Y'all shall present a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, as a sweet aroma to the Lord, 1 bull, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without blemish, and the grain offering and the drink offering for the bull, for the ram, and for the lambs by their number according to the ordinance. Also, 1 goat is a sin offering besides a regular burnt offering, its grain offering, and its drink offering. And you shall present to the Lord. These you shall present to the Lord at your appointed feast, besides your vowed offerings and your freewill offerings, as your burnt offerings and your grain offerings, as you drink offerings, and your peace offerings. So Moses told the children of Israel everything just the Lord's commanded to Moses. So this is what, once again, this is like another call of obedience. Call, just, it's a lot to it, but that's just the Lord say, hey, I want you to do it this way is the way I want you to do it. All right, does anybody have questions or comments about any of those offerings? I would say the whole assembly of Israel together, I would assume. There's a lot being offered in those few days. Yes.
What was the question?
She said, "Who furnishes the animals for?" Yeah. For the animals. Yeah. Yeah.
The priests and the
Levites don't.
were in charge of preparing them and doing the sacrifice.
Yeah.
They required the people to. And he had an order. God had them to do it orderly. And I guess from every tribe, they probably had to produce because
Either tribe. He said either tie.
but these are all offerings. I don't know if we can call it the tithes or not. The thing that he required for an offering, like sin offering, was for the sins of the people. It was an offering to the Lord, so that he pardoned them for the sins they committed.
All right.
And we see all that. The reason I think that God had this put in his word for us to read is to see what he did with them. He made provisions for them. And we think, well, that was very hard for them, but you think how many people's in the tribe. And the leaders of the tribes, I would guess, they handled making sure that they have whatever God commanded them to have. And they brought it to the Levites for God. And somebody said, well, that's a lot of work for the Levites, but he appointed a lot of, I forgot how many they had at one time, but the whole tribe, so to speak, of the Levites.
Amen. I agree.
There was a time when all of this kind of got forgotten, and they didn't do any of this. And then later on, when they got the word and they realized they're supposed to be doing this, they didn't have enough of the priests that was still able to do it. And they had to make provisions for them so they get enough people to the priests to do all of the sacrifices.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work if it's just the 3 of them doing it. I agree, but yeah, the Lord has provided a lot, and He had a lot of provisions for them. Because I think a lot of folks forget when they left Egypt, they took everything, all the livestock. So they had plenty of everything.
Sometimes when we look at this and say God made it awfully hard on His people, but He, in all the work that had to be involved. But then if you read, see how many people He appointed to do certain things, He always had. He even had people that could work in shifts. did a lot of things that didn't burden them to the point that they just.
Amen.
That was their responsibility.
Mhm.
They didn't have to farm the land,
That's right.
Yeah.
go out and work. This wasn't that.
Mhm.
And if you remember back in, I guess, Leviticus, God had told his people how to take care of these people.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's, I'm sure it keeps.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I think, some of the offerings they were able to eat a little bit of it and things like that. And they were some of the tithes. Yeah, they took so much for themselves, so they were taken care of.
And one place where, you know, we know that two of the offsprings, I guess, they were doing, taking more than what they should be taking and
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of other things. And God showed us what happened, still both of them.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Well, and that's why we should even be more thankful for Jesus Christ, because no matter how hard this may look, it's not hard today.
No.
But how many folks still don't live it?
That's
No
true.
matter how easy God made it, there's still folks that won't accept it.
Exactly. I agree. And I mean, there's a lot to it. And the thing is, he has a call of obedience. I mean, you have to give up.
This
But
all of this that
Mhm.
happens is for our teaching.
mm-hmm.
When Christ came,
Mm-hmm.
he said, I didn't do away with the law. I'm not here to do away with the law, he said, I'm here to fulfill the law.
Exactly.
The law will still be there. And Galatians said it's a schoolmaster to teach you.
Exactly.
To know what they did and how that God made it so wonderful for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his son who come in and gave us a supreme sacrifice, covered all of that
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Amen.
And when scripture they said, when they said, what do we do to do the works of God? He said, believe on the one that God sent, Jesus Christ. He said, that's you know.
Amen.
Start there, you can do the rest.
Amen. I agree. 100%. Anybody else? All right, we'll continue on in chapter 30. All right, and these are the laws concerning vows. And then Moses spoke to the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, this is the thing which the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord, or swears an oath to it, to bind himself by some agreement, he shall not break his word, and he shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Now, granted, are we able to keep our promises as a human being? Sometimes are we able to keep our vows? We are to do so, but as a human being, does everybody do that? No.
And one scripture says, better not to make a vow.
Exactly.
Than to make it
And then to break it, exactly. The thing is, we made a vow with the Lord. The Lord keeps his end of the vow regardless. He could do it. Now, our end, as you can see through history here, and also, and I guess in our everyday lives, we don't always keep our vow. Even though we try and we do our best, we still slip up and mess up. But this is what the agreement is.
I was thinking about how many people have we invited, you know,
Mhm.
they say, I'll be there Sunday,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or I'll be Sunday night, and never show up.
exactly.
They have really made a vow, not to us, they've made a vow to do that.
Amen, they did. Amen, that is true. Did not realize it.
And not realize that's right.
All right, verse 3 is, or if a woman makes a vow to the Lord and binds herself by some agreement while in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow and the agreement by which she has bound herself, and her father holds his peace, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement with which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father overrules her on the day that he hears, and none of her vows nor her agreements by which she has bound herself shall stand, and the Lord will release her because her father overruled her. Okay, it's kind of interesting. So if there's a young woman in her youth, still in her father's house, and she tries to make a vow, and like I said, if he doesn't say anything, holds his peace, lets her go about it, she could be held to it. But all he has to do is intervene and says, nope, I heard it, I don't like it, we're not going through it, and she's released from it. So in a way, they have young ladies had a release from that. In a way.
That's covering a young person who does not really know.
Mm-hmm.
The father still has authority
Mm-hmm.
to break that
Mm-hmm.
and corrected.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's talking about. They have the authority to correct that, so that this young lady
Does
is
it make?
not held to that vow that she probably cannot keep.
Mm-hmm. Or it's a vow that, like you said, she can't keep, or she didn't understand what the whole entail of the vow is, or so. All right. In verse 6 is, and if indeed she takes a husband while bound by her vows or by a rash utterance from her lips by which she bound herself, and her husband hears it, and makes no response to her on the day that he hears it, then her vows shall stand, and her agreements by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband overrules her on the day that he hears it, he shall make a void her vow which she took, and what she uttered with her lips by which she bound herself, and the Lord will release her. Also, any vow of a widow or a divorced woman by which she has bound herself shall stand against her, if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound herself by an agreement with an oath, and her husband heard it and made no response to her and did not overrule her. And then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband truly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatever proceeded from her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the agreement binding her, it shall not stand. But her husband has made them void, and the Lord will release her. Every vow and every binding oath afflicted her to afflict her soul, her husband may confirm it, or her husband may make it void. Now, if her husband makes no response whatever to her from the day to day, when he confirms all her vows or all the agreements that bind her, he confirms them, because he made no response to her on the day that he heard them. But if he does make them void after he has heard them, then he shall bear her guilt. These are the statutes which the Lord commanded to Moses between a man and his wife, and between a father and his daughter, and her youth and her father's house. So that's what's concerning. Mostly, you can see it's like mostly the younger, the younger ladies, or in this case, a wife to a husband, and the responsibility is usually if if he avoids it, then whatever, it's on you is what it's more or less saying. If you make it, it's on you to keep it. But if somebody avoids it, then you're released from it in that matter.
Well, Christ can't be void at all.
Amen. He did.
Fulfilled it,
Mm-hmm.
and he became children of God under grace, because
Mhm.
of grace. So he
The
fulfilled
husband made a vow. Would the wife be in a position to disavow it, like he's in a position
Mm-hmm.
to disavow her vow? I mean, it's all, and maybe that was how then it was how the society was
Mhm.
then. Women had very little control.
Yeah, that's how things were then, and also too, it's just if usually the man's the head of the house at that time as well,
Yeah.
and he has to bear responsibility and things like that. And I guess in the end, if he made a vow and he can't keep it, it's on him. It's not really. So that's really what it is.
What he did was he said, "Well, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
if she made a vow, but you didn't correct that, the husband didn't correct it, then it stayed. She had to live with it. But the husband disavowed that, and even if she wanted to keep it, he told her no. Because he had, the authority over the household. But all of that became, when we think about that, it's God's teaching to us the things that he did things for, and he made them so that it would work.
Yes.
When Jesus came, he said, I fulfilled all that. Didn't do away with it. It's after the teaching.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Come first.
Amen. All right. Anybody else? All right. We'll continue on chapter 31. And it says, "The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take vengeance on the Midianites for the children of Israel. Afterward, you shall be gathered to your people." So Moses spoke to the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves for war, and let them go against the Midianites to take vengeance for the Lord on Midian. 1,000 for each tribe, and all the tribes of Israel you shall send to war. So there were recruited from the divisions of Israel 1,000 from each tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Then Moses sent them to war, 1,000 from each tribe, and he sent them to war with Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, with the holy articles and the signal trumpets in his hand, and they warred against the Midianites. just as the Lord commanded Moses, and they killed all the males, and the king killed the kings of Midian with the rest of those who were killed were Evi, Rechem, Zer, Hur, Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. Balaam, the son of Beor, was also killed with the sword. So this is where Balaam was taken care of. And the children of Israel took the women of Midian captive and their little ones, and took the spoil for all their cattle and all their flocks and all their goods. They also burned with fire all the cities where they dwelt, and all the forts and all their and they took all the spoil and all the treasures of man and the beast. And then this is a return. It says, and when they brought the captives, the treasure of the spoil, to Moses and Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of children of Israel, to the camp of the plains, in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho, and Moses and Eleazar and the priests and all the leaders of the congregation went to them outside the camp. But Moses was angry with the officers of the army, with the captains over thousands and the captains over hundreds, whom have come from battle. Moses said to them, have you kept all the women alive? Look, these women caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to trespass against the Lord in the incident of Peor, and there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. So here, after they went to war, they took care of the Midianites, and they come back and they captured, they killed all the males, but they captured all the women and the children and bring them back. And Moses is like, hold on now. Remember, these are the ones that under Balaam's little congregation, I guess, in this matter, whatever his teachings, was the ones causing you guys to trespass against the Lord back in Peor. Why'd you bring them? Because chances are you probably remember that one over there, because she was one of those that kind of brought y'all away, caused us issues here. Now, why'd you bring them back? Because now that not only that, we know but you brought them into our tribe, so now you're bringing all that with them, is what he's more or less saying. You're letting in that kind of doctrine into our congregation, is what he's saying. So, it says, now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man intimately. But keep alive for yourselves all the young girls who have not known a man intimately. And as for you, remain outside the camp 7 days. Whoever has killed any person, and whoever has touched any slain, purify yourselves and your captives on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day purify every garment, everything made of leather, everything made woven in goat's hair, and everything made of wood. And Eleazar the priest said to the men of war who had gone to battle, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord commanded Moses. Only the gold, silver, and bronze, and iron, and tin, and the lead, everything that can endure fire, you shall put through the fire, and it shall be clean, and it shall be purified with the water of purification. And all that cannot endure fire, you shall put through water. And you shall wash your clothes on the 7th day, and be clean, and afterward you may come into the camp. So here is once again, they're unclean, and they stay out of the camp for 7 days. They clean everything, purify everything, and all the things like that. Does anyone have any questions or comments about any of that? Chances are yes, in that matter. You got to answer for that one.
What was the question?
She said, did they kill all the little young boys, babies, in that matter?
Apparently they did.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons I think that God had this happen was he didn't want his people to finally keep his people from being corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
All of the
It
things
is.
that they are growing up in. So it would be a corruption to his people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it was kind of like keeping from corruption, but also puts an end to the Midianites indefinitely, is what it more or less, because if they don't have any more males in their bloodline, that eliminates the Midianites, is what it's more or less boiled down to. Because he did say he's going to destroy them, and in that matter, it kind of puts an end to them entirely right there if they don't have any sort of male heirs to any of that, is what it's more or less boiling down to. And yeah.
Now, some of the things that God did, like we don't understand because it seemed harsh. I think you used the word harsh, but I think that it seemed harsh. But God had a reason, because he knew what was going to happen
Mhm.
on in the future. And he kept telling, then he started giving his people more authority to make those decisions. And they made bad decisions a couple of times.
Mhm.
And they suffered because of it.
Hmm. And also too, if those boys stayed alive, and let's say if they did continue to grow, and let's say, chances are people's going to know that they were a Midianite, and they're going to be reminded of that. Chances are, and they're going to be like, "Well, you're a Midianite," and there's probably going to be some. They may have been treated differently, but also too, you got to think of his position as well. If he's a Midianite and it's like, where did my family come from? Well, come to find out, the people that you raised with, lived with, eliminated everything you've ever known or would have known. Chances are you're going to start digging around, and you may find out some things that, hey, these are not my people, and it may cause up strife in that matter as well. So, like you said, Lord can see in the future, and He knows how things are going to become. Chances are it may have become an uprising within the people with the Midianite sons, on that account as well.
And most of these who they did keep alive became slaves to them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Servants, slaves, whatever you want to
You
call
see
it.
the folks in favor of abortion will typically reference paragraphs like this, because when the Christians come out and say we're opposed to abortion, they say, well, what about this? But I mean, that's so grossly out of context. That God was establishing His kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these folks were still being established under God. And even now, even if there's one little ripple, what does that do to God's kingdom and God's people?
Mm-hmm.
It pushes you further away.
It does.
And as we notice with the grain offerings and all the offerings, He wants strict obedience. There's no middle ground. 90% is not okay.
Mm-hmm. And you gotta look through the examples, like when they revolt against Him, or when they decided we're gonna do this whether you want us to or not, and there was consequences to that.
And there were what looks to be hard, but
Mm-hmm.
He expects obedience. I mean, what's the penalty for disobedience and sin today?
Mm-hmm.
It's not much different.
No.
It may not be a physical death, but a spiritual death is is way worse than a physical death, because of where you're going to spend eternity.
Exactly. And
And
there's
again, God knew that Christ was going to come. This is what I'm teaching, that Christ is going to come. He's going to fulfill this. And then it's going to be under a new covenant. Now, He did make a statement. He said, if the old covenant could have saved people, basically what He said, then it could have been kept. But He said it wasn't possible. It wasn't possible. There had to be a new covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Christ brought that new covenant,
Mm-hmm.
which fulfilled all this and changed
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Amen. That it has. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay. So now
God's preparing, and all of this
Mhm.
He's doing, He's preparing His people.
Amen.
He's getting them ready. And
Amen.
all through the generations, still will be Christ.
Amen. I agree. Amen. All right. Anybody else? All right. Verse 25 says, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, count up the plunder that was taken of man and beast, you and Eleazar the priest and the chief fathers of the congregation, and divide the plunder into two parts, between those who took part in the war, who went out to battle, and all the congregation. And levy a tribute for the Lord on the men of war who went out to battle, every one 500 of the persons, the cattle, the donkeys, and the sheep. Take it from their half, and give it to Eleazar the priest as a heave offering to the Lord. And from the children of Israel's half you shall take one of every 50 drawn from the person, the cattle and donkeys, and the sheep, and all livestock, and give them to the Levites who keep charge of the tabernacle of the Lord." So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. And then the remaining plunder, for which the men of war had taken, was 675,000 sheep, 72,000 cattle, 71,000 donkeys, and 32,000 persons in all, of women who had not known a man intimately. And the portion of those who had gone out to war was in number 330,000 37,500 sheep. The Lord's tribute of the sheep was 675. The cattle were 36,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 72. The donkeys were 30,500, in which the Lord's tribute was 61. The persons was 16,000, in which the Lord's tribute was 32 persons. So Moses gave the tribute, which was the Lord's heave offering, to Eleazar the priest, as the Lord commanded Moses, and from the children of Israel's half which Moses separated from the men who fought, and now the half belonging to the congregation was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkey, and 60,000 persons. And from the children of Israel, half Moses took one of every 50 drawn from man and beast, and gave them to Levites who kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And then the officers, who were over thousands of armies, and the captains of thousands of captains of hundreds, came near to Moses, and they said to Moses, "Your servants have taken account of the men of war who are under our command, and not a man of us is missing. Therefore we have brought an offering to the Lord. What every man found of ornaments, of all gold, ornaments and bracelets and signets, rings and earrings and necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." So Moses and Eleazar, the priests, received the gold from them, all the fashion ornaments, and all the gold offering they offered to the Lord, from the captains and thousands, the captains of hundreds, of 16,750 shekels. The men of the war had taken spoil, every man for himself. And Moses and Eleazar, the priests, received the gold from the captains of thousands of the hundreds, and brought to the tabernacle meeting as a memorial for the children of Israel before the Lord. So that was just them dividing whatever they plundered, spoils of war, dividing the spoils, things like that. Verse 32. Now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of livestock. And when they saw the land of Jezar, the land of Gilead, that indeed the region was a place for livestock, and the children of Gad and children of Reuben came and spoke to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the leaders of the congregation, saying, Altaroth, Dedan, Jezar, Namron, Heshbon, Elah, Sheba, Nebu, and Baon, the country which the Lord defeated for the congregation of Israel, is a land for livestock, and your servants have livestock. Therefore, they said, if we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not take us over the Jordan. So here, they see this, see a lot of green pastures, and they see, like, oh, this is a place for livestock right here. I mean, these guys had it sweet. Can we have it, is what they're more or less saying. And Moses said to the children of Gad, until shall your brethren go to war while you sit here? Now, why will you discourage the heart of the children of Israel from going over into the land which the Lord has given them? Thus your fathers did when I sent them away from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. For when they went up to the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel, so that they did not go into the land which the Lord has given them. So the Lord's anger was aroused on that day, and he swore an oath, saying, surely none of the men who came up from Egypt, from 20 years old and above, shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. So the Lord's anger was aroused against Israel, and he made them wander the wilderness 40 years until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone. And look, you have risen in your father's place and brood of sinful men, to increase still more the fierce anger of the Lord against Israel. For if you turn away from following him, he will once again leave them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all these people. Then they came near to him and said, we will build sheepfolds here for our livestock, and the cities of our little ones, but we ourselves will be armed and ready to go before the children of Israel until we have brought them to their place and our little ones will dwell in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants' land. We will not return to our homes till every one of the children of Israel has received his inheritance. For we will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has fallen on us this eastern side of the Jordan. Then Moses said to him, if you do this thing, if you arm yourselves for the Lord for the war, and you and all your armed men cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, and afterward you may return and be blameless before the Lord and before Israel. And this land shall be your possession for the Lord. But if you do not do so, then take note you have sinned against the Lord, And be sure your sin will find you out. Build your cities for your little ones, and folds for your sheep, and do what has proceeded out of your mouth. So here they wanted to stay, and Moses kind of explained to them, like, remember when they got discouraged when your forefathers went over to seek out the land, and we were quite capable to take it then, but didn't. Well, this is what's going. It's almost going to be a relapse. Just you saying, hey, we're going to stay over here, because you know what? That's going to discourage children of Israel across the Jordan. So here he explained, unless you're ready to come fight with us and help us get the inheritances across the Jordan, you know, the Lord's not going to be happy. And they said, well, we'll do that. You know, we'll go ahead and build our stuff over here so our families can stay here. We'll go over with you until our deed is done, and then we'll return, is what they're saying. And so that's the whole situation there. And then there was a kind of, I guess, an agreement. It's like, well, you come over with us, you'll fight with us. Once that's all done, you come back and you'll take this land as your possession, or as your inheritance, or whatever you want to call it. Does anybody have any questions or comments about any of that? All right, we'll continue on verse 25. And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben spoke to Moses, saying, your servants will do as my Lord commands. Our little ones, our wives, our flocks, and all livestock will be there in the city of Gilead. But your servants will cross over, every man armed for the Lord to battle, just as my Lord says. So Moses gave command concerning them to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua the son of Nun, and to the chief fathers of the tribe of the children of Israel. And Moses said to them, if the children of Gad and the children of Reuben cross over the Jordan with you, every man armed for battle, before the Lord, and the land is subdued before you, and then you shall give them the land of Gilead as a possession. But if they do not cross over armed with you, they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan. And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, as the Lord has said to your servants, so we will do. And we will cross over armed before the Lord in the land of Canaan. But the possession of our inheritance shall remain with us on this side of the Jordan. So Moses gave to the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben and to the half of the tribe of Manasseh the son of Joseph the kingdom of Sihon the king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og king of Bashan, and the land which with its cities within its borders, within the borders of the cities of the surrounding country. And the children of Gad built Didon, Adaroth and Aror, Athroth and Sophon, and Jazer and Jagabath, Beth Nimram and Beth Haran, fortified cities, and folds for the sheep. For sheep and the children of Reuben built Heshbon, Elon, Kisrath, and Nebah, and Baal-Melon, their names being changed, and Shebon, and they gave other names of cities which they built. And the children of Machari, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took it, and dispossessed the Amorites who were in it. So Moses gave Gilead to Machir, the son of Manasseh, and he dwelt in it. Also Jair, the son of Manasseh, went and took his small towns and called them Havoth-Jair, and then Nebah went and took Kenath and its villages and called it Nobah after his own name. So now they're about to review the whole thing. Does anybody have any questions or comments about any of that? So Gad, Reuben, and I think it was part of. Make sure I got it right. And half the tribe of Manasseh wanted to take their inheritance on the other side of the Jordan. They said, well, we want this, we want that. And once again, Moses was like, you guys better come armed. If not, then you will not. The Lord remember. So this is them making a vow. It's like, hey, we'll come over and help you. But once we're done, we're going to come back over. This is where we want to be. So there they made a vow saying, hey, we'll come with you, fight, get your inheritance across the Jordan. But once you're done, we're coming back over. And that's what they're doing there. And they built these cities, these fortified cities, or little towns even, and to make sure, because there's still some inhabitants there, and apparently they don't take kindly to the Israelites in that matter, so they would have that ready and prepared. Does anybody have any questions or comments about any of that? All right, well, I think I'm about to run out of time. Does